Good evening, viewers, and welcome to the truth about unidentified flying objects with me, Sebastian Presley. For many years now, the world has been told that UFOs are nothing more than tall tales told by those who are either trying to deceive or in need of psychiatric assistance. But over the years, the number of people that claim to have seen unexplained phenomenon or say that they have had a close encounter has grown considerably and includes people from all walks of life. This, I think, is an important point, as it seems it is only when we get an eyewitness account from a so-called respected member of society that the world takes notice. Take the case of Travis Walton, who claims to have been abducted by beings unknown on November the 5th, 1975. Travis has stuck firmly to his account for over 30 years and has given numerous detailed accounts. Indeed, after he made his abduction story public, this lumberjack, without evidential proof and with little to gain, has been publicly ridiculed over and over. However, in the recent years, there have been some very interesting developments in this field of investigation, with a number of military recorded videos coming to light, which I believe add credibility to many of the stories that came before. One of these newer accounts is the case of Colonel David Fravor, who was attached to the USS Nimitz carrier strike group and claims to have encountered a tic-tac shaped vehicle off the coast of California during tactical war games in November of 2004. And this was after he'd been given coordinates to investigate suspicious, unrelated movements. Fravor reported that he saw an object, white and oval, hovering above an ocean disturbance. He estimated the object was about 40 feet long. Fravor's aircraft was not carrying ordnance or equipment with which to track the vehicle, so we only have his eyewitness account. However, he was not alone on this occasion, as a second wave of fighters, including Pilot Lieutenant Commander Chad Underwood, took off from Nimitz to investigate. Unlike Fravor, Underwood's fighter was equipped with an advanced infrared camera, and Underwood recorded the flare video and coined the description tic-tac to describe the infrared image. However, it must be stated that Underwood himself did not see any unusual object and had only instrumentation proof. Even more recently, and the USS Omaha and the USS Russell, where photographs and video taken by US Navy pilots were leaked, showing a number of triangular flying vehicles hovering above Navy vessels. But in the April of this year, 2021, after the leaked footage had gone viral, the Pentagon officially confirmed that the videos were in fact authentic. This is an unprecedented response and a drastic change to their previous stance of denials, as their confirmation also states that these films have been used in training exercises, meaning they take the threat very seriously, despite their public position. But as interesting as it is to see the divide between so-called credible witness accounts like Col Fravor and those of people like Travis Walton claiming to have not only seen a flying saucer, but to have been abducted and experimented on, the real question is this: from where do they originate? Obviously, the common belief is that if they are real, then it must follow that they are extraterrestrial. But I'd like to make another suggestion, and that is, just because they are in the sky does not mean they come from above. Indeed, I further propose that these unidentified flying objects are in fact vessels from our very own planet. Subterraneans, in fact. I know some of you will be throwing your arms in the air, but think about it for a minute. Mankind's ancient relatives living below the surface for millennia, and all the while watching over the world above, conducting reconnaissance missions in order to keep an eye on us, perhaps. And just for a moment, think of the advancements this race may have achieved. Unlike surface dwellers, they may have had the benefit of carrying with them the knowledge of science now long forgotten to those of us that live above ground. Their civilization could well be thousands of years more technologically advanced than we are. But where is the evidence, I hear you ask? I believe that the clue to the connection between UFOs and the ancient underground civilizations can be found in part within the evidence gathered by the growing number of drone enthusiasts. Drones that on numerous occasions accidentally capture footage that appears to show the same tic-tac-like craft as described by Col Fravor, with the same inhuman maneuverability described in numerous accounts. And these high-speed occurrences would have gone unnoticed were it not for the ability of slowing the film. Film that often shows the craft disappearing as it phases into a hill or the ocean. But what other reasons do I have to suggest that they originate underground? Well, as you may know, this is something I have postulated for many years, and in order to explain, one must examine other sources of research. You see, it's only when one looks at the bigger picture that one begins to finally see the connections. For example, when one looks at the spoken histories passed down through the generations, one sees so many similarities. Global catastrophes, floods, fire raining from the sky, and in almost all of these stories, examples are made to instill a warning or lesson. The legends from the Hopi tribe of North Arizona believe their ancestors, the Anasazi, and indeed many other tribes, lived for generations underground during a time of great cataclysm on the world above. They speak of how they were aided in their time of need by both the lizard and the ant people, both of which already inhabited the world below, before eventually being led back above ground when the surface was safe once more. Their lesson is that everything is a cycle, and more importantly, that they believed we have reached the end days once more. The Maya, who seem to have disappeared without a trace. As you know, the Maya are renowned for their advanced timekeeping, and their most famous example is the one known as the Long Count. And the Maya seem to have based their lives on this calendar. It was built to count down 5,125 years, or one great cycle, and was separated into 13 units of approximately 400 years each, which were known as the Baktum. At the end of each Baktum, they would hold a marvelous celebration, but strangely, on the 10th Baktum, they did not. In fact, as previously mentioned, their cities emptied and almost the entire population disappeared. Is it possible that the Long Count calendar was counting down to a preordained date, and that they knew they would soon be leaving? The stories passed down today say that the Maya went home, with many believing their ancestors had come from the stars. But could they simply have gone to another world, the underworld, to once again escape the coming tide of disaster? On so many occasions, the legends I read spoke of subterranean races helping the surface dwellers to take refuge in the underworld. Even that word, underworld, is so entwined in our belief systems and is often seen as a representation of our fear, almost as though it played on the collective memory, one from our prehistory, much like our fear of spiders and crawling things, a feeling one cannot explain. One should also consider other ancient sites, places like Gobekli Tepe, built over 10,000 years ago using ancient construction techniques that are now lost in time. Technology that their writings state was given to them by the godlike Anunnaki. Now I know what you're thinking. The Anunnaki were said to be emissaries from the planet Nibiru and hardly support the non-extraterrestrial argument. But my point was simply to highlight the technology. Though who is to say that the Anunnaki weren't in fact subterraneans who gave the impression that they came from the stars to avoid any possible scrutiny? It's a wild theory, but there are some that would say the Anunnaki and the Maya gods share a common heritage, and that some of them watch from below, whilst the other spies from above. Either way, this act sort of enlightenment given by these superior beings is also a theme shared by many other belief systems, along with the cycle of life, culminating in mankind's spirituality and goodness being judged, with their legends seeming to converge with either a solar event or the 11,000-year cycle of ice ages. Natural events that our ancestors knew far more about than we previously gave them credit. And let's not forget the many controversial pyramids dotted across the globe from all those other cultures we have forgotten. Like this one in Bosnia that appears to have been designed to harness energy in a way that even now we cannot recreate. Once again, using construction skills far beyond what we believe them capable of. Are these, as many people believe, gateways to the underworld? Perhaps the strongest proof I can offer is to ask you to think about the eerie, low-frequency sound that has been called the hum. This can be felt coming from deep below the ground in almost every country in the world, a phenomenon that has been grossly underreported despite thousands of reports all saying the same thing. Yet, after many years of investigation, there is no definitive explanation, despite being an ongoing investigation. To me, all of these things speak clearly of not just one, but numerous underground races throughout the ages of man. And I believe this theory to be far less of a stretch for one's imagination than extraterrestrial beings traversing the vastness of space and finding us of interest. And it's strange, isn't it, that so many secret installations seem to have been strategically placed on so many of these spiritual places, such as Granite and Wildcat Mountain, and perhaps the most famous of them all, Cheyenne Mountain, all built inside pre-existing cave and tunnel networks, and all of them entwined in the local cultural beliefs. But what do I know? I could be completely wrong. These craft could well be the Anunnaki, returning as the Sumerian prophecy stated. And after all, the truth is, only those that truly know will ever truly know. This is Sebastian Presley, and you've been watching The Truth About UFOs.